Former State Attorney General Dennis Vacco joins us now to discuss this. Dennis, does this get in between client-attorney relationship here? That is really very, very sacred these days.
It is. Look, it's the most sacred aspect of a relationship that a client has with their lawyer. The client should be able to depend on the confidentiality that is ethically and legally required of the lawyer. So when you go to a lawyer, you have to expect that that lawyer is going to keep your confidences. In this instance, so I think that there's the prospect of a chilling impact here, where people are going to be curious as to whether or not I can trust whether my lawyer's ever going to give this information up. What if the FBI shows up with a search warrant? But I think that the viewing public needs to understand that in the law, there is an exception to that very important and sacred right of attorney-client privilege, and that is if you as a client are attempting to use your lawyer to violate the law, you cannot then use your lawyer to help facilitate violating the law and then to hide behind the attorney-client privilege. The legal phrase there is crime fraud exception. Right. Okay. So if you're engaged in committing an illegal act through your lawyer, you can't expect that conversation or those communications to be protected under the attorney-client privilege.
Alan Dershowitz, the famed Harvard law professor, many people say he's a very liberal guy, says this is chilling for the attorney-client relationship, that this should not have happened. And then you have Ari Fleischer, the former White House spokesperson, who says he knows Mueller and that they must have something on the president for them to have done this.
Well, frankly, I agree with Professor Dershowitz. I think that this does have could have a chilling impact. So people who are concerned about their legal posture and they don't want the other side to know, whether it's the government. And look, under the Fifth Amendment, everybody is entitled to not provide incriminating information against themselves. And under the Sixth Amendment, everybody's entitled to a lawyer. So I do think that Dershowitz is onto something when he says that this potentially has a chilling effect. I think that Fleischer is partially correct. I don't think that it means that they have anything on the president. I think that they have probable cause because this was a search warrant, so they had to go to a court and get judicial approval for this search warrant.
Interesting.
So I think that what it means is that they at least have evidence against Cohen, the lawyer. I don't think that that necessarily translates into evidence of wrongdoing by the president himself.
Okay, and this all stemmed from the, quote, Russia investigation, the special prosecutor with Robert Mueller. A lot of people say this has gone on a long time, and now they're getting into all these other things, trying to find some type of crime other than what they were actually supposed to find, collusion.
Well, look, I think that it's a bit of a dodge to say that this is now being brought by the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York. It started with Mueller. And at the end of the day, Mueller is still part of the Department of Justice. So I think the Department of Justice has a responsibility here to not only to pursue cases, but to pursue cases in an even-handed fashion. I think, and we've seen this in other circumstances where when people believe that justice isn't being served, they lose confidence in the criminal justice system. And I think that what happened here, involving the President of the United States and his personal lawyer, the Department of Justice really needs to be careful that it doesn't undermine its mission by losing the public's confidence in what they do.
Very important. And Mueller has a responsibility, even though he is looking for this, quote, Russian collusion. If he does find another crime along the way, he has that responsibility as a law enforcement person to make sure that the right people know about it.
Well, and apparently that's what he did. But I go back to, it's still the Department of Justice. So he has to go through the Deputy Attorney General to make sure that his findings somehow get transferred to the appropriate United States Attorney's Office. But the fulcrum, if you will, I mean, the deciding authority is the Department of Justice. And again, I go back to my proposition that for justice to be successful, it has to be perceived as being fair. And I think that this case now, where you're going after the president's lawyer for involvement concerning, allegations made by some former porn star of an event that took place 12 years ago, I think that now we're starting to run the edge of the appearance that this is not fair.
Right. All right, Dennis Vacco. Dennis, as always, thanks for your expertise and your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.